Hi, everyone. Welcome to the preview show delivered by FedEx. I'm Marty Snider from NBC Sports. This is Chris Rice from College Racing and also right here at NASCAR.com. Chris, I'll tell you what, crazy Talladega race. 33 of the 40 cars in the field, that's 83%, were involved in wrecks in some form or fashion. Have you ever seen a race like that?
Well, no, I haven't, and it blows me away how many cars was in a wreck. I look at Austin Dillon finishing third. His car was tore up like he was at Martinsville or Old Bristol. I'm telling you, it was a lot of cars tore up on Sunday, and it was a great race, but just nobody could pass the white deuce there at the end.
Yeah, it certainly was a battle of track position, no doubt about that. All right, NASCAR doesn't like to see what happened with all the cars getting up in the air and flying through the air. Yeah, I heard Steve O'Donnell say the other day, we're working right now hard to make sure that doesn't happen for Daytona. What can NASCAR do to make sure this doesn't happen moving forward at restrictor plate races?
Well, we've seen a lot of tweets out there saying, hey, let's slow the cars down, let's separate them, and let's do a lot of things. But I don't know that it's one answer to putting the cars on the ground. We've seen this many years of cars just getting up in the air. When they get turned sideways and people hit them, they're going to go up in the air. It's nothing they can do. They've done a lot at the NASCAR Research and Development building, and they're going to keep doing it to get better and better.
Well, and I think maybe separating the pack a little bit too, which when the tandem racing happened, that's what was going on, but the fans didn't like that. So it's kind of tough to appease everybody. You mentioned Brad Keselowski, no doubt the dominant car. Is it just a sign that you have to stay that aggressive if you want to win one of these restrictor plate races now? Because that's what Brad did all day long. He did the old junior format, keeping it out front and kind of blocking the lanes behind him.
Well, you have to. You got to block your lanes behind you because you don't want to get in that pack. Whenever you got in that pack, somebody pushed you from behind and they ended up wrecking you and somebody else. So you got to stay out front. And the air is a buffer, so he would go from one side to the other, and that was keeping that buffer, pushed him out in front, and nobody really could ever pass him. They couldn't get up beside him.
This weekend back at Kansas, as we mentioned, a 1.5-mile racetrack on Saturday night. Does the racetrack changing at Kansas? I sense it's getting a little bit wider. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Let's talk about it because you know what? We always talk about grip, and Kansas was paved a couple of years ago in the weather, in the rain, and they get a little bit of snow, so it's losing grip. So we're going to see the cars getting to the top, but also remember, we have a different package now than what we had there last year, so everybody's going to get to the top trying to find the grip, that makes them the fastest.
Right. We have talked about Joe Gibbs Racing a lot lately. Brad Keselowski breaks their 4-race win streak, but is it all about at the 1.5 and those type of racetracks beating Joe Gibbs Racing at this point?
I don't think so, because let's look. Superman, he has 2 wins that we keep forgetting about. Atlanta and Fontana, he has 2 wins at those style racetracks we're going to this weekend. I'm telling you, the Hendrick cars have caught up with Gibbs, I feel.
Interesting. Now, I got to ask you something. I got to confide in you. I struggle with my NASCAR Fantasy Live lineup. I need a good value pick. You're beating me in that, so give me a good value pick. Help me out a little bit.
Chase Elliott. Let's talk about Chase Elliott. He's pretty cheap to put on your fantasy lineup, and I really like him. You can go and look at mine. I have Chase Elliott on my fantasy lineup because he's very economical to get him, and he runs good each and every week.
I'm telling you what, Chase has been very impressive, hasn't he? It's not going to be too long before that young man wins a race. All right, speaking of that, who are you going to pick to win this weekend?
The 4 car. I'm going with the 4 car because I feel it's time for Kevin Harvick to say, okay, move over, everybody. It's my time to shine at 1.5 miles. Rodney Childress and that gang will run really well at Kansas.
I'm going to go with the theory that I'm going to pick Matt Kenseth until he wins. I mean, surely it's going to happen at some point. I mean, I picked him last week at Talladega. I thought he had one of the best cars. He ran up front for most of the day, and they are so good at Kansas. Eventually, he's going to win, right? I'm going to get it right at some point.
He is going to win. I got him on my fantasy lineup to win, too.
All right, make sure you keep it parked right here on NASCAR.com all weekend long. Live leaderboards, in-car audio, and all the news updates as we head into the Kansas Saturday night race. Make sure you check that out on FS1. We'll be back here next week for the preview show delivered by FedEx. We'll talk a little Dover and the Monster Mile. In the meantime, enjoy the Kansas race weekend, everybody.